Hello curl friends, welcome to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Jody and it's great to have you join me today. Today we are doing one of my popular series, the Affordable Drugstore series, where I take a look at products that are under the $12 budget mark. At one point it had been $10 was the cutoff, but due to inflation I just felt like $12 was allowing me a little bit more room to explore a few more products. But anyways, these products that we are looking at are well under the $12 mark. They are about half that price. I was recommended to try out the Bean products, and so I have looked at several of their products from two different lines. So let me introduce to you first what I went in with for my wash day. This is the Bean Bye Bye Frizz Smoothing Shampoo. It retails for $6.97. This is the one for those looking to tame frizz on their wash day. It's perfect for wavy and coarse hair. They label from 2A to 2C. This dermatologically tested, I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's sulfate-free, silicone-free formula, contains naturally derived ingredients such as jojoba oil and almond oil. The hair is left feeling soft and smooth. The directions say to apply on wet hair, lather and rinse well, pair with the Bean smoothing conditioner, or mix and match with another conditioner from the Bean line depending on your hair type and texture. Alright, I'm starting out by showing you just how much buildup I have on my hair. I feel like I have some extra product buildup, and with it being summertime, there's just a little extra sweat going on, so this shampoo definitely has its work cut out for it. By the way, the size of these products, these shampoo and conditioner containers, are massive. It's a 12-ounce container if I remember correctly, but it's about as large as my face. Anyway, so I start out by applying this shampoo, and it gives me a pretty decent lather, a little bit more than I expected, especially for the first cleanse, but I did feel like I needed some more water to try to distribute the product, so I do go in with a little bit more water on this initial first cleanse, and it just helps me work the shampoo throughout my hair a little bit better. But after this first cleanse, I still didn't feel like my hair was all that clean, so I went in with a second cleanse. Not a big deal, a lot of times I do that anyways, but even on the second cleanse, I still didn't feel like my hair was all that clean. I felt like there was kind of like almost a waxy coating to my strands in a sense, and it just didn't feel like I had everything stripped away, all the product and sweat and all that buildup at the very base, at the root of my hair and everything like that. So I made the executive decision that I went in with one of the shampoos that I had already in my shower. So I went in with one of my husband's shampoos. Now I'm remembering this. It was just the Head and Shoulders shampoo, because I had taken mine out in order to film this and be able to put these products here. So yes, I went in with Head and Shoulders. That did the job. My scalp came out feeling very cleansed after that. Not a problem. Now for the next product, the conditioner. This is the Bean Bye Bye Frizz Smoothing Conditioner. It says basically the same thing as the shampoo does, the exact same description as the shampoo does, but it retails for $6.97 as well. The directions do say to apply to wet hair, gently massage and rinse, and it says to pair with the Bean Smoothing Shampoo or to mix and match with another shampoo from the Bean line depending on your hair type and your texture. So not a whole lot different here. So when I went in with this conditioner, one of the first things I noticed was the amazing scent of this. It smelled similar to the shampoo and the leave-in conditioner, but was just like a different level of the perfumed fragrance, and it was just a delicious smelling. Don't ask me to describe it any better than that, because that's just not something I can do very well. Anyways, so once I applied this gave me a decent slip. It wasn't any out of this world slip, but it did help me finger detangle, and I was able to finger detangle my hair without a problem. Just take some time working your hands through your hair. I work up first on the mid lengths of my hair to the ends, and then I go up top and just add some there, because your hair does need conditioned up there as well. When I do go in with a conditioner at my roots area, I do like to lift the hair away from my scalp a little bit, just so it's not like I'm not applying the conditioner necessarily right at my scalp area, but rather to the roots of my hair. Just kind of lift and work it through with my fingers. One thing I will also note about this conditioner, as I was detangling, towards the end of my detangling, I noticed it was kind of foaming up in my hair and on my hands. Not a problem, just something to know, I guess. It was just kind of interesting, not something I see all the time. Alright, now moving on to the styling portion of this video, which I will have to re-wet my hair. I can tell by this point it's starting to dry out. But let's introduce the first product from this line. By the way, if you're wondering why I went in with the wavy line, you guys, it's because I was looking at the ingredients while I was at the store, and I remember seeing that for the curly line, which I was actually recommended to try, and I do have a product from there. But from the curly line, I was actually recommended to try, like the second or third ingredient was it was shea butter. It was pretty high up on the list, regardless of exactly where it fell, but it was pretty high up on the list. And sometimes when you check out a line that's a little bit below that, and by that I mean like a little looser curl structure, so that would be the wavy line, sometimes they're not as heavy as ingredients. I just felt like the curly line was going to be a bit too moisturizing for me, and you don't always need to use products from the curly line. Even if your hair type is very curly, you don't always need to use products from that line. You can mix and match and make a lot of things work, at least for my hair type, which tends to fall a little bit in between. Those with more wavy and loose hair, those with maybe even a very soft finish, you might have a little bit more trouble. You might need to go for stuff that is more geared for the very wavy side, but that all depends. You just have to kind of know what you're looking for. If ingredients seem heavy, like shea butter can be very heavy, then you might want to avoid that, which is what I was trying to do. And honestly, looking at this, they have a chart here and it has the different lines that they have. I could have probably gone for the straight to fine hair. Because my hair is more fine, it needs less of that moisturizing and more of a deeper cleanse, which is what I wish this shampoo would have given me. Oops, sorry, facing the wrong way. Which is what I wish this shampoo would have given me. But, you know, live and learn. I guess I just should have paid a little bit more attention. All right, but now, like I said, it's time to go in for the stylers, and I did pick up another product from the wavy line, and I'm kind of debating whether I even need this, but we're going to give it a try. We're just going to give it a try. This is the Bean Major No Frizz Leave-In Smoothing Leave-In Conditioner. I feel like that's a little bit redundant. Leave-In Smoothing Leave-In Conditioner. Okay, whatever. This retails for $6.97. It says Bean Major No Frizz Smoothing Leave-In Conditioner is perfect for hair in need of additional softness, such as type 2A to 2C waves and otherwise frizzy or coarse hair. Your girl's hair is not coarse. We might be reevaluating this one. Once again, it's that word coming up as well. This dermatologically tested, I think I did it better that time. This dermatologically tested, sulfate-free, silicone-free formula is ideal for use after washing by working into the ends to help style naturally, or alternatively to use as a heat protectant. Naturally derived ingredients such as jojoba oil and almond oil to manage frizz and flyaways, and leaving hair soft, manageable, and frizz-free. All right, so let's see what this is all about. Ooh, she has a spray applicator. I was not expecting that. Okay. Maybe it might be more lightweight than I thought, but ooh, let me wet down my hair first here before I forget. The one product specifically recommended to me was the Curl Mousse, which we will be getting to here in a minute, but I don't know. I felt like maybe I should pick up something else, but then I don't know, I'm second guessing it. I'm having a hard time picturing these products to not be too moisturizing for me. So why did I pick up a leave-in conditioner? You guys, at this point, I'm just arguing with myself, like going back and forth what I should do. But let's just see the consistency of this, okay? Got Prime the Pump. Okay, it's a milky leave-in. Kind of a little thicker, but pretty milky. I'm not gonna go in with a lot. Those pumps that you saw really build up on your hands. I've never seen one quite do that. We're just going to go in very light. How many pumps was that? 2 or 3? Something like that. This has a very pleasant scent, much like the shampoo and the conditioner. And if I don't even get all of this off my hands, it's not going to be the end of the world to me to use it up, because like I said, I feel like this next product is going to be very conditioning as well. Okay, going in with this product though, it does feel like there's basically nothing on my hair. It feels very lightweight at this point. Yeah, I guess I used it all up. It went in easily. Like I said, there's not like, I don't notice slip with this product really. It just absorbs into my hair and I don't really feel anything on my hair. All right, just going to brush this through my hair, try to distribute it, get it in all the areas. And I am going to brush style this as well with my other brush. There's a little tangle here. So far, nothing exceptional about this product that I've noticed, but let's see how it's looking after it's brush styled, because, you know, sometimes you can see a little bit extra curl definition or something like that. Not always with leave-in conditioners. This is one of the reasons why I tend to like creams a little bit better. I feel like it enhances my curl definition just a little bit more than just a typical leave-in would. But then again, not everybody can get away with using a curl cream, whereas I generally can. All right, let me section this up and get a few sections brush styled and just see how we're feeling about this. All right, so I've brush styled the other sections and now I'm just working on this top horseshoe section. And to be honest, not a whole lot has changed as far as my opinions on this. I'm not overly impressed. I'm not like mad about it, but I'm not overly impressed. It just feels like there's nothing in my hair right now. And so brush styling is fine, but there's no extra slip to it necessarily. But my hair doesn't feel like it's dragging through the brush either. I haven't come across many tangled areas, but I don't know, it just feels like there's nothing in my hair. Which for fine hair can be a good thing too, because you don't want your hair being weighed down by the feeling of product, which will turn into more than just a feeling. It'll actually be realized in the style at the end, but we'll see. We will see, time will tell. Just kind of running my fingers through some of the curl clumps just to break them up a little bit more. And scrunching. This is what the hair is kind of looking like. Pretty typical for me, I feel like, with wet hair. For the application of the next product, I am going to be upside down, but I'm going to introduce it to you while I'm right side up. This was the product that was recommended to me as a styler, so I am excited to be trying this one. This product is the one that I'm the most excited about, but like I said, doing the entire curl line I felt like was just going to be too heavy for my hair. This is the Bean Curling Power Mousse Curl Defining Foam. It retails for $6.97. This mousse helps to hydrate and define your curls for styling, leave them frizz-free, and improve shape and hold. The directions say to shake well and dispense a dollop of the foam the size of your palm and scrunch into hair with hands and then style as usual, or you could let air dry. Now, I will not be letting my hair air dry, but I found it interesting. Like, I'm not 100% sure what to expect. This feels like it's in a type of aerosol type container, but it talks about being a mousse in a foam. A mousse I think of being in an aerosol container. A foam I think of being more like the pump type thing. And I'm not really sure yet what I'm going to get. When it talks about a dollop though, I'm thinking about this. It talks about a dollop being your palm size. That makes me think it's going to expand. So that makes me think it's more of the traditional mousse-like consistency, especially with shaking it too is another indication that's probably going to be a mousse-like consistency. You don't typically shake foams. I remember Mains by Mel saying that. All right, my hair is damp feeling. It's not overly wet, but for a mousse or even a foam, I feel like this is still a pretty good position, at least trying it out initially. Yep, she's a mousse. She is a mousse. Let's see how it holds up. So far it has that typical egg white consistency feeling, that very meringue-like feeling. Woo, she has a very strong scent to her. I really like the scent of the wavy line. The scent is perfumed a little differently, but not quite as nice, not quite as pleasant. It's not bad, it's just, I think the fact that there's a lot of it. All right, trying to get this in all the layers. And I feel like it's absorbing into my hair really well. It's not just like sitting on my hair. I feel like I want to get a little bit more in this area that's currently the underneath, but will be the top. So I just went in with a little bit. Just try and scrunch it around in those areas. And then we're just going to do a thorough scrunch all over. Once again, this product feels like it is absorbing into my hair very well. Sometimes I have issues with mousse or foams, I should say, but mainly mousse, feeling a little producty and just kind of, it's not always a problem necessarily, but sometimes it feels a little gritty while you're like putting it in your hair. You feel that extra texture, which does help in the end to lend to volume, but sometimes it just doesn't feel the best going in. This is not the case. Like I said, it feels like nothing in my hair. All right, so now I have my typical wet plop on. I'm going to leave this on for 10 to 15 minutes just to let the product absorb into my hair a little bit more in the upright, lifted up position, not hanging down. And then I'll diffuse my hair. I'll come back and I'll show you the results. All right, my friends, let's take a look at this hair. Let's take a look at each side, and I will definitely go over my thoughts on this. By the way, I know it bothers some people when I pull my hair like this. They feel like I'm pulling out my curl clumps. It may for some people, it may cause a problem for some people, but trust me, when I do it, it's not causing a problem. All right, let's take a look at the back then. All right, so what am I feeling or what am I thinking about this hair? Let's address this actually. I think I have a pretty good definition throughout. It's not my tightest curl pattern. I've said that before. It might spring up more with the summer heat and humidity as I go outside and everything like this, but I've dried my hair till about 95% dry. And I've let it air dry as I've eaten, as I've put a sourdough loaf in the oven. My hair feels dry to the touch. There's no dampness, no cool spots or anything like that. But the hair shaft will continue to dry out more. But the thing that I noticed, okay, like I was talking about the definition, it's not my tightest curl pattern. But there is not much frizz. There is very, very minimal frizz throughout my hair on the top, on the undersides and everything like that. Frizz control is pretty good. There is a decent amount of shine, like a healthy looking shine, and my hair has decent volume, which I was pleasantly surprised by. And then for the moisture of my hair, it feels okay. Like it doesn't feel over moisturized, and I was really concerned about that. But part of that might have had to do with the fact that I did go in with a regular cleanser after using the shampoo twice and still not feeling like I got a good cleanse. So, you know, maybe if I would have just stuck with the shampoo, not gone in with the stronger cleanser, that might have been a different result. But I couldn't do that to my hair. I could not do that to my scalp at the condition that was in. So overall, I am really liking my hair today. I am very pleasantly surprised, but I do want to go into more detail tomorrow. I want to see how this hair holds up into tomorrow, and I want to go into more detail about each of the products, who I think that they would be best for. So if you guys are interested in that, just stay tuned. All right, friends, we are back for day 2 using the Bean hair products, and let's take a look at each of the sides of my hair here and see how the hair has progressed or how it hasn't. I will say that I was out in the elements quite a bit yesterday and today. I did some work outside on my computer, just sitting in the shade. And then also this morning I went on a walk, and while the temperature wasn't that warm this morning, it was about 96% humidity when I checked my phone. So I definitely exposed this hair to the heat and humidity. Let's take a look at the back and then we'll go over more of the details. All right, so before I dive into the details of how my hair is looking or the individual aspects of my hair, I do want to give like an overall recap, and it may seem kind of contradictory, but it's just how I feel. So overall, I can't be mad with how my hair is holding up really, but also in the same sense, I'm not overly impressed. I'm not wowed necessarily. Let me get into more of the details though, like I said. So I have good curl definition in a lot of areas. It still has a nice healthy shine, some nice definition, but I also have some areas where I feel like it has frizzed out quite a bit more. Like here in this area, you can't see it so well, I feel like in this lighting, but when I was in my bathroom, I could definitely notice it. And even on the other side, if I lift up these layers, I think it's more so on this side. If I lift up these layers, I could see a lot more frizz throughout here as well. And even on the top yesterday, I noticed pretty shortly after filming that my top like frizz and flyaways were starting to develop pretty significantly. They may have kind of worked themselves down a little bit more now at this point. I don't see it so much, like I said, out here on this in this lighting, but I definitely noticed a significant development of them yesterday. Now also too, an area that I don't know that I can necessarily blame on the products. I think I just have some damage here, some maybe mechanical damage, maybe chemical damage from, I do dye my hair. And this is the areas that I tend to dye my hair. So by the time it works down to here, you know, she's had a little bit more wear and tear on her. But I just feel like this area has been a little lackluster lately. And I used to be really good about using my Bond Curl Rehab Salve. And so I just need to get back into doing that as like a regular routine, I feel like. But as far as my hair, my volume isn't bad. My volume has held up. I don't feel like my hair looks limp. Yesterday, I thought my curls had kind of started to, like after I initially did the video here, I felt like my curls weren't the tightest curl pattern. Then I felt like the curl pattern kind of shrunk up a little bit more as the day went on. But by the time I came back from being outside, I felt like my curls had kind of elongated once again. Was I just imagining all this? Maybe. Maybe I was like trying to overanalyze, but I kind of feel like I saw it. I'm pretty sure I saw it, but it does seem odd that it would change so much, and yet it doesn't because, like I said, of the weather conditions. So while I was in the air conditioning, as the day progressed, my hair did seem to shrink up, did seem to kind of like curl up a little bit more, but then after going outside, it kind of reversed the effects. That used to not be the case for me. My curls used to shrink up more in the summertime and even in the heat and humidity, in a sense, as long as my products weren't too heavy for them. But hair changes, hormones change, things like that, and it definitely plays an effect on it. So let's continue on with analyzing the hair. I will say my moisture still feels good. It doesn't feel heavy. My hair, as I kind of alluded to already, doesn't feel heavy. It's not weighed down. And the hold to my hair, which is something I didn't talk about yesterday, I apologize, but let me just catch you up on that. Yesterday, as I was diffusing my hair, I noticed a cast forming pretty early on in the drying process, and I had a pretty significant cast all throughout the drying process. There towards the very end, as my hair was drying up more, it was a little bit less. And as my hair cooled then, my hair became soft once again. So I kind of was surprised by that based on the cast I had all throughout the drying process. But like I said, once my hair was cool, my hair is very soft and flexible. But I do feel like there's some structure to the curls. I do feel like there's a little bit of hold, not a ton, but I do feel the hold through the structure. So let's dive into these products individually and who I think they might be best for. Starting off with the Goodbye Frizz Smoothing Shampoo. This one is a moisturizing shampoo. This is a shampoo that I think would be better for someone with more coarse hair, as I talk about. I also think it would be one that you could maybe use if you don't need a good deep cleanse. If you're just doing like maybe a midweek cleanse and you don't have a lot of product or a lot of buildup in your hair, maybe someone with more medium or finer hair could get away with using this. But for the most part, I wouldn't recommend this for a fine hair curly. I wouldn't recommend this really for a fine hair person in general. Medium hair, like I said, may be able to get away with it. Coarse hair would probably be the one to benefit most from this. A coarse or more dry finished hair, more rough finished hair. In general, this wasn't my favorite. I just didn't like it. I just didn't feel like it suited my needs. And that's nothing bad about the product necessarily. It did have a good lather, which I really did enjoy that and thought I would get more cleansing from it. It even has what on the third ingredient, it has the sodium C14 olefin sulfonate. And usually when I see that, I generally get a pretty good cleanse for my hair, but for some reason, it didn't work out for me. So this shampoo was not my favorite, would not repurchase. Then for the Goodbye Frizz Smoothing Conditioner, this was a decent conditioner. It had pretty good slip. It wasn't like an exaggerated over the top, blown away type of slip, but it was a good enough slip that I was able to finger detangle, and I really like the scent of this conditioner even over the shampoo and the leave-in. There was something about like the level, the amount of the fragrance in it that I found was just, I really liked the scent of this. So this wasn't a bad conditioner. I didn't mind. I didn't feel like it was too heavy for my hair or anything like that. But if I'm not going to be picking up the shampoo, I don't necessarily see myself picking up the conditioner. I don't know. It's probably not going to be a repurchase, but I wouldn't 100% rule it out. Oh, who do I think that this would be best for? I think it could work well for a variety of hair types. If your hair is really craving a lot of moisture, if it's really dry, then you might need something more than this. And if your hair is extremely soft finish, if your hair is very fine, ultra like low density and stuff like that, this might be too much for your hair. But for most cases, regular fine hair, medium hair, and even coarse hair that's not ultra dry can probably get away with using this. The next product, this leave-in conditioner, the Major No Frizz Leave-In Smoothing Conditioner. This one was kind of surprising to me. I will say that this was the one product out of the entire purchase that I made of the Beam products that I was like the least or the most on the fence about whether I should purchase it or not. And I think it turned out pretty well. For one, I was surprised about the kind of application that this would be. I thought it was going to be a pump, kind of like I don't know if the video came out already or if it's still coming out, but the Rizzo's curls, I recently did a video on that, a review on that, where that was a pump, and I was a little surprised by that too. But in general, for being more of a milky conditioner, I didn't feel like this was too heavy. It did build up on my hands, which I was also a little nervous about. I was a little alarmed. I thought, okay, is this gonna be pretty heavy on my hair? It was not. I felt like that was an adequate amount of moisture. I feel like I probably even could have gone in with a little bit more, to be truthfully honest, but not the end of the world. In the end, I did go in with a very light amount because I thought the next product would be a little bit more moisturizing than it was, but we'll get into that. So I do think that this is a pretty good leave-in conditioner. If you have a super fine hair, once again, this might be a little bit too heavy for you. You might want something that's more of a clear spray leave-in conditioner, if you even go in with a leave-in conditioner at all. If your hair is very soft, very fine, low density, you may not need a leave-in conditioner. Just go in with a mousse or gel or foam or something like that. Maybe something that has a little conditioning, but you may not need it. Your rinse out conditioner may be just enough for what you need for the day. Now, those with more of a dry finish, even if your hair is more coarse and dry, you might find that this isn't enough moisture for you. It's just one of those things, I don't know, you'd have to play around with it. I do feel like it's a little bit on the lighter side for that, just based on my own personal experience, but like I said, not bad. This last product was the one that was recommended to me, is the Curl Power Mousse Curl Defining Foam. This comes out like a mousse type consistency. It's that expandable aerosol style, and it just builds up on your hands. It does have like I would call like an egg white or a meringue type texture to it. It doesn't super break down onto your hands. Some of them, they turn really watery or serum-like in your hands. This was not one of those. It kept like that consistency kind of. It smoothed onto my hair very well. Didn't have any problems with that. And it did absorb into my hair very well. It was one of those that I felt like it just, like I didn't feel the product in my hair necessarily. And that's odd for me to say for a mousse. I don't typically get that. And that reminds me, I forgot to say about the leave-in conditioner. It does smooth into your hair very well. Once again, it feels like there's nothing in your hair basically as you're brush styling it through. The more you work either of these products into your hair, the more I feel like they disappear into your hair. And that's once again, at least for my experience. So this wasn't a bad mousse. I did think based on the description that it might be a little bit more moisturizing. It does have a VPVA copolymer, which is a holding agent as a second ingredient. And then I do see some oils pretty high up on the list. I see grapeseed oil, coconut oil. There is also a polyquaternium and a PVP. I get those mixed up for some reason. I've never been diagnosed as dyslexic, and that might be, don't be offended if I say that, but sometimes I question if I am. Okay, so it does have, like I said, the polyquaternium 11 and the PVP. Those are both holding agents as well. I didn't really take a look at the ingredients list before trying this out, but there is glycerin about midway to 2/3 of the way down the list of ingredients. So this does have a lot more holding agents in it than I realized, and not quite as moisturizing as I thought. Overall, for a mousse, I do feel like it has held up pretty well. Mousse just typically don't perform the best for me without being paired with hairspray. I can get a mousse to last usually a little bit better in the wintertime than I can in the summertime if I'm not out in the wind that we a lot of times have in the wintertime. But for the summertime, I feel like this has held up fairly well. Maybe I should reconsider and be more impressed with this product. I don't know. Just overall though, I'm not like 100% impressed with how my hair looks. Although when I describe this mousse, I'm like, why don't I like my look a little bit better? I'm not 100% sure. Now, who do I think that this would be best for? I think a lot of people might be able to get away with this. It just depends on how you use the product. Those with more fine hair, those with more low density, I think could use it as a single styler, especially those with a softer finish. Now, those with a more rough finish or those with a more medium or coarse hair might need to use this paired with something else, something that has a little bit more moisture in it. Like I did, maybe a lighter leave-in conditioner, or you may need something even heavier than that. Now, as you go in with more moisturizing products, I think it will break up the hold. And that is another thing. Maybe the reason why I didn't feel like I felt like my hair got softer afterwards, or I didn't get quite as much hold, maybe that's I would expect with all these holding agents in here, is because I did pair a leave-in conditioner with it. I'm not 100% sure. I maybe need to play around with this one a little bit more. So have any of you tried the Beam products? I know it was suggested to me by one of my viewers, but let me know if any of you have tried any of these products. If you're interested in trying them, let me know in the comments down below. And if you have tried any of them, let us know what your thoughts or experiences are. We'd love to hear from you. And until I see you again in the next video, have a great day. Bye, friends.